Welcome back to President. I recently caught up with Sean Forkan, Vice President and Country Manager with VMware. When he took the job just over 2 years ago, he set some lofty aspirational goals for his team. There were some hiccups in the beginning, but he told me that by empowering his team to be part of the decision-making process, the company is now delivering record results. Over darts, we spoke about company culture, his use of blogs and video to connect with his staff, and how he balances his personal life with a career that sees him traveling constantly. We started by talking about the challenge he faced when he joined the company in January 2017. So I understand that you actually took the helm in 2017 and you've really made some amazing changes. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think it was an interesting time for VMware back in 2017 when I arrived. They were on the cusp of really driving some innovation, but the Canadian business really wasn't set up to capture any of that opportunity with customers. And so there was a lot of work that we had to do just to do the basics really well. The first thing that we set about doing was actually building a long-term vision and strategy that we co-authored as a management team, which was important. We wanted to have reps build long-term relationships with our customers. We wanted the same with our channel organization.
That's great, and I guess that just rolls into the first thing you did was you created, I heard, a 3-year sales plan, and it's coming up. How are you doing?
So we originally built an aspirational goal of actually doubling the business in Canada in 3 years, and we are actually tracking towards achieving that. Earlier today, I was having a conversation with a colleague from Oracle, and I said, 2.5 years ago, we were lucky if we did $1 million deal in a quarter. And we're now doing $10 million deals, we're doing multiple $5 million deals and multiple $1 million deals kind of pretty consistently every quarter.
Tell me, what's unique about working at VMware?
I often get asked about leadership style and leadership philosophy, and I'll share two things. One is I always talk about leadership being kind of a three-legged stool. I talk about the need of having a strategy. It should be based on facts, right? Not that I don't value opinions, but you want to have a fact base to start with, and it should be co-authored by the broader team. So my next leg of the stool is having a rhythm to the business or an operating model. And especially in a publicly traded company where we're on this 13-week cycle, I believe you want to have a predictable way of running and inspecting both the short-term and the long-term metrics of the business and looking at things as basic, not as basic, but things that you may not think about, like development plans once a quarter. And then my third leg, right, once we have a strategy and define how we're going to run the business, is really people. I believe that if you can create a culture where people show up to work 9.5 times out of 10, they're excited to be at work, you're just going to perform better.
Maybe you could tell us a little bit about the whole philosophy around talent at VMware. I know that's very important.
So for talent at VMware, my philosophy is really around growth, right? So what we try to do is be very prescriptive of people around, what good looks like in terms of our expectations for every given role, and then we coach to those expectations. I tell you, one of the great things that we're experiencing right now is we're now a destination for talent, right? And so we're seeing proactively all this great talent across the country say, hey, I'd like to be a part of what it is you're doing.
What are you doing in regards to the female quotient, because that's where we seem to always have a problem around diversity and equity, etc.
I met a young woman, the other day. She's an executive with Enterprise in Toronto, a large company, and she's way younger than me, but has the same degree, right? Same university, same degree. And I asked her, I said, how many women were in your program? And it was the same as when I went. And so I think that is one part of the problem we have to fix. And then you have to do some of the basics, right? Competency-based interviews, right? Behavioral-based interviews. Avoid all those situations around introducing bias to the interview process. And then
that's hard to do.
I would say most leaders would be very open to say we're still learning, right? And so we do everything from I talk about stories about, being conscious to not book the 9 a.m. meeting when you have a woman on the team who's a single mom who has to do drop-off, right?
That's great.
Right.
So tell me, what's top of mind for CIO since you're out there all the time?
Probably the two big things that I hear from CIOs is one is there's this recognition that they all need to digitally transform, right? The one challenge that almost every single customer tells me is talent is the big issue. They cannot find enough talent in order to be able to execute on that digital transformation, which leads me to the second piece. When I talk to CIOs, they're like, there's 100 different pieces of privacy legislation around the world, and so if I'm playing globally, I kind of have to be able to adhere to all of it. And so as this all begins to unfold, not only do you need to access world-class talent to be able to support the digital transformation, but you need flexibility in your technology environment in order to be able to support changing business needs, changing environmental conditions, but also this changing regulatory framework, which is increasingly becoming top of mind with CIOs.
Could you share with us maybe one or two of the best lessons you've learned in your long, very successful career?
One of the things is really around the people piece, right, and focus, right, and some of this applies to being a parent as well, right, where it's so easy for when your child comes up to you and wants to talk, and you get this thing buzzing that you're like, constantly looking at it, and when people come to me, and they often do for big issues, small issues, sometimes crazy issues, but that's a whole other story. I make sure to kind of turn the laptop down and turn the phone over, right, so that I'm actually engaged. The other thing I will tell you is a practice that's worked for me, and it's not easy to do, is there are always big ideas that you have around how you want to tweak the strategy or do something to improve how you think about people, or something to do with your operating structure, or a way you look at big deals. There's just some big idea rolling around in your head, and you'll never get to it unless you have time booked every month, if you can, right, at least twice a quarter, where it's a day. Take the day, don't take a meeting, don't take a call, and use that time. Everybody uses the time to clean up email a little bit in the morning, but then use the balance of the time to do your big picture thinking.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.